going to get some dry time through the second half of the morning. Once we get past 8, 9 o'clock, any storm chances will be done for a little while. We'll be dealing with mainly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies through the day, and we're going to spend a lot of time in the 50s across the region. If you live in our far northern communities, we're going to be a little chillier. Seymour, North Vernon, you may not break out of the 40s today. The further south you live, a little bit milder, perhaps sticking around in the 60s a bit more. As we get later in the day, we're going to turn our attention to another opportunity for some showers, maybe even a few thunderstorms to the south, but I think the chances for stronger cells as we get later into the afternoon and early evening will be much, much lower than what we are dealing with right now. So I think it's mainly just showers and a few rumbles. And by the time we head into the evening, we'll be trending drier at 47 degrees, and overnight lows will be sticking into the 30s. So it'll be a chillier go of it tomorrow morning. So I just wanted to give you this, wanted to give you an update because we're going to continue to stay with you as long as we have a tornado warning in effect. And that is currently into south and eastern portions of Grayson County. We're tracking that for you on the live radar with wind velocity. We're going to watch the rain, the rainfall rates, the potential for straight line wind, and even some hailstones that would be fairly small with this, but there's the potential for that as well, perhaps pinging off your roofs from time to time. But the wind velocities right now that meteorologist Mo Rose is tracking for me aren't overly impressive from a straight line wind value. So that's good news. So that kind of, it doesn't completely eliminate it, but you saw that last pixel query was 55. We need velocities 58 and plus to get severe thunderstorm straight line wind gusts. It's been mainly the rotation with this storm system that started all the way back into Ohio County, rolled near Caneyville into western portions of Grayson County, and is continuing now south and east of Litchfield, south of you in Clarkson. So this is now south of the Western Kentucky Parkway, but there are still indications in the radar of rotation. I can argue that it's a little lighter or a little weaker than what we saw back a couple of scans ago. But the National Weather Service still has this tornado warning box that goes from eastern Grayson County to far southern Hardin County and northern and western portions of Hart County, and that's going to continue until 6 o'clock. So that's another about 20 to 21 minutes across the area. And if you're in the central time zone, adjust that by an hour. So 6 o'clock would be 5 o'clock for you in places like Grayson and Hart County. So we'll continue to keep you updated on this. The metro, Elizabethtown, Shepherdsville, up towards LaGrange and Oldham County and through all of northern Kentucky and southern Indiana, you do not have a severe weather threat. In fact, this severe weather is going to be very isolated, but it's going to be confined south of the parkways. And I think we can even go a little farther south than that, because Hodgenville, some of the rain that's over you right now in LaRue County will minimize any strong to severe weather threat. But where we do have the warmth and mugginess up towards Marion, Taylor, Greene, and Adair counties, I want you to have your heads up on this one just in case some of these showers and thunderstorms, like what we've been tracking over the last 40 minutes, get fueled by this very muggy air. Look at mid-60s through Hart and LaRue County and really south of the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkway. And it also comes with a fair amount of humidity as well. So that's able to fuel these thunderstorms and give us the potential for straight line wind gusts to 60 miles per hour, and also the potential for spin-up tornadoes. This is also the dew point. And remember, we kind of forget about this sometimes during the winter months, but the dew point measures moisture in the atmosphere. And once you get those, especially above 60 degrees, that's enough to really fuel supercell thunderstorms, and we're above that too. So we have temperatures in the 60s, and that provides fuel with some warmth. We have humidity and moisture with the dew points into the 60s, and we also have wind energy aloft. You go up into the atmosphere above these storms, and the winds are humming right now, and they're turning a little bit too. And so that's enough to create the situation for some strong to severe storms. If you remember yesterday morning, we were talking about this. It didn't look like a big severe weather outbreak, and it still doesn't. But occasionally we were talking about the opportunity for some thunderstorms and a couple of stronger cells. And so that's what we've been tracking here this morning. We're also looking at maybe half-inch hail, I think, at worst with this particular particular storm. Some of that will likely melt a little bit too, but you might get some dimes across the area falling, or maybe some pea-sized hail in some of these intense downpours. The rainfall rates, especially near and immediately south of the Western Kentucky Parkway, are very intense. If you're going to try to drive in this, I would strongly suggest you just wait it out, because the instantaneous rainfall rates are between 7 and 8 inches an hour. Now, this is going to move faster than that, so you're not going to get those type of rainfall amounts. But at 7 to 8 inches per hour, you could put down a quick 1 inch of rainfall in a very short period of time. So you'll get ponding on roadways, will make the morning commute very tough if you try to go out in this. Now, this is all going to start to shift off to the south and east. And so in terms of our southern communities, by the peak of the morning rush, a lot of this, and at least the worst of the weather, is going to be pushing off to the south and east and out of here. We're going to catch a little bit of a break. Now, what we're looking at currently in the storm velocities is still into portions of, here we are, this is eastern Grayson County. But notice how there's a little more of a linear look. You see how it still kind of has more of a backward C approach? That kind of, or look to it, that gives some indications that it's a little more of a straight line wind gust or an outflow dominant storm right now. And that would be good news, because storms, just like anything, they have a lifespan and a life cycle. And sometimes when they become what's called outflow dominant and start to show these signs, that could be the beginning of some weakening. Now also, supercell storms can also return and redevelop. So we'll keep close eyes on it until 6 o'clock this morning. So another 17 minutes. We do have a tornado warning, eastern Grayson County, far southern Hardin, and north and western portions of Hart County. So this is in a mainly rural location, right along that county borderline there from Hart, Hardin, and Grayson County. So this is away from you in Elizabethtown. Sonora, I think the worst of it's going to stay south of you as well. This has mainly been tracking due east across the area at about 50 miles per hour or so, maybe just north of due east. So we'll watch it in Upton at 5:56. You got about 12 minutes as we monitor the worst of that storm moving on off to the east. We'll look ahead too towards LaRue County, Magnolia, and Buffalo, 6:06, 6:10. So as we get 20, 30 minutes down the line, we continue to watch this one particular cell within this larger line of thunderstorms that's rumbling across the southern section of the WLKY region this Thursday morning. So that's why we're with you. That's why we're in wall-to-wall coverage here, tracking this storm as the tornado warning continues here until 6 o'clock Eastern and 5 o'clock Central Time. So what we're watching here with that storm velocity is, again, that's the winds inside of the storm. The rainfall, the radar itself, if we just go back over to the reflectivity, you will see we have some thunderstorms that are really rumbling across the area with this, and it's putting down some heavy rain. We've also been in communication with the National Weather Service, and while they did expand that tornado warning another half hour, which now goes to 6 o'clock, so they did that about 15 minutes ago, there have been no signs quite yet that they're looking to extend that. And I think if the radar continues to show signs like it currently has, we may be able to allow that tornado warning to expire. Maybe, because there's still some signs right along that Grayson, Hardin, and Hart County line that we do have a storm that is rotating here, even if it doesn't look as good as it did 15 to 20 minutes ago. Also for you into southern Grayson County, we got to keep eyes on that line too, because some straight line wind gust will be a possibility of there south of Litchfield and down into Edmonson County. So that'll be pushing, once it's in Edmonson County, it's out of our WLKY area. But some straight line winds, and you can kind of see it. I want to hold right here, because notice kind of the linear fashion kind of has a little bit of a backwards or kind of almost a U shape with the storm we've been watching with the rotation into eastern portions of Grayson County. And this one also is kind of taking on that shape too. So a little more looking like straight line winds with this. Now that still can produce severe thunderstorm wind gusts, perhaps 55 to 60 miles per hour with this. But at least the last couple of scans of the radar, perhaps a little less intense in terms of the tornado warning potential. Continue to monitor it though, because we do have some of the brighter shades you can see of the green there, indicating some strong winds. The storm right along the Grayson and Hardin County line here. This is north and also west of you in Bonnieville. We're also looking at pinging some 54-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts right along the Grayson and Hardin County line there, and also as you get towards the Hart County line, where that confluence there of those 3 counties. So that's where the worst of the weather is. This is also pretty open land and space, too, so it's pretty sparsely populated. And so far, you know, this storm has stayed south of you in Litchfield and Clarkson, so that's all good news. And it likely will stay north of you in Bonnieville. But if you're watching us in Upton, even in Sonora, we're going to keep close eyes on this. But if you're in southern portions of Hardin County, and also southern LaRue County, we want to monitor this closely. There is a tornado warning for the Hardin, Hart, and Grayson County parts of this storm. Now, it's raining. You might even get a few rumbles up towards Hodgenville. You are not in the tornado warning, even though portions of Hardin County are under a tornado warning. It doesn't include you in Glendale. It doesn't include you in E-Town or Radcliffe up towards Fort Knox. That's just not going to be the case with this particular cell. It is farther on off towards the south. So we continue to watch it. It does not scream big-time tornado potential. These would likely just be brief spin-ups if they can occur at all. It's been a radar-indicated storm. We do not have eyes on the ground that have confirmed a tornado with it. But you do see we have a few lightning strikes, heavy rainfall, and the potential for some brief high wind gusts and also some spin-up tornadoes. That's why we're keeping you advised here throughout this early Thursday morning. If you are in the tornado warning, it's time to head into the center portions of your home away from windows. Also, if you have a basement, those are best. You're only going to have to spend a couple of minutes under there. So this isn't a big, long duration afternoon or evening severe weather outbreak. This is only going to last in any one location for maybe 15, 20 minutes and then quickly move on. But we've had eyes on this particular cell since it formed back into Ohio County, and we've been watching it, been keeping eyes on it. Mo Rose is with me. She's running the radar and tracking things, also keeping eyes on any reports coming on in. But right now, we still monitor this part of the storm where you have the reds and the greens that coming together, merging, brightening a little bit. These are all indications of still some rotation in the atmosphere with this thunderstorm that's moving off generally to the east, maybe just due north of east, around 40, 45 miles per hour. And so some of the locations, some small towns like Upton, Kentucky at 6 o'clock, Hammondville at 6:07, heads up to in Magnolia and Buffalo around 6:11 and 6:16 there. So we continue to track this severe thunderstorm that is under a tornado warning across the area. Hey, Mo, let's send it on over to you.
Just wanted to let you know, just to give you just a breather real quick, the Grayson and Hart County, now they're saying that this is just kind of struggling to organize. So it's likely not going to be warned downstream. So that is some good news. And as in the last few scans, you've noticed it's not as that rotation, it's a little more broad. And as you noticed, or you pointed out, that it's more of straighter lines. It's not as it's not really coupling as much. So that is some good news there. But even though things are starting to weaken, if you still live in that red box, you do need to find a safe place to go. Zooming out, we're also dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning in Grayson County. And if you do live in that warned box, you also need to be taking taking shelter. If you are near a window, get away from that. With severe thunderstorms, you have winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour or more, and you know that can knock down trees and cause some damage to your home. So you want to stay away from windows and just get to the inner part of your house. But big picture here is that we're dealing with this strong line of storms. We've got lightning with it, heavy rainfall rates with it, winds, even the ones that are not warned are still pretty high in the 50s. So you got to be very, very careful if you have to be going to work. You may just want to wait it out for a little bit. But at this point, we are just dealing with the tornado warning, and it is in an area where we do not have a very high population. But if that is including you, you do need to be in a safe place right now until this warning expires. At this point, it does say that they're going to expire the warning at 6 o'clock and likely not going to be warned further downstream.
And I think that's great news, right, Mo? Because we've been tracking this storm all the way since developed off to the east of Hartford back into Ohio County, Kentucky. But I also want to monitor, I'm going to tell you too, we've got this line moving on through, and while some of the recent scans of the tornado warning storm have gone down in its intensity a little bit, and the Weather Service is a little more optimistic that we won't have to extend the tornado warning further on off towards the east, we are starting to see signs in the south and western portions of Grayson County that this particular cell also is starting to rotate a little bit. So I think eyes are going to be on that as well. South of Shrewsbury over towards Annetta, this would be far southern portions of Grayson County. It is already under a severe thunderstorm warning for straight line wind gusts, but also the potential is there. The atmosphere is ripe with warmth and humidity, and also turning in the winds as you head up in the atmosphere to produce strong to severe thunderstorms occasionally. The severe weather threat will be very isolated within this line, but there are some intense cells and spots with this particular thunderstorm. So southern Grayson County, that's where we could get those 55 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts the closer you live to near the Edmondson County line. So we're going to be on the lookout for that, and we'll monitor that even though it's not a tornado warned cell right now. Farther off towards the north and east, you still see the radar gives indications of rotation right along the Hart and Hardin County line. Rumbles of thunder and lightning flashes also indicated by the radar with this. But the latest and the most recent indications look a little more like a strong straight line wind gust with this particular cell right along the Hart and Hardin County line. So there's the Hart and Hardin County line for you. It's generally north of you in Bonneville, but we keep eyes on it, and it's closer to you in Upton, Kentucky, as that stronger wind gust starts to move on in. So Upton, you're getting into some of the worst of the storm. You're getting the lightning strikes, the rumbles of thunder, the very intense rainfall there, and that also includes you into southern portions of LaRue County, but the LaRue County, you are not under a tornado warning. That's some very good news, and we'll continue to keep close eyes on this part of this long line of storms that extends from all the way up towards south of you in Bardstown, and then back over into portions of Butler County, Kentucky, and also into Grayson, eventually Edmondson County. Now, it is our far south and eastern communities that'll have still the fuel to perhaps yield a couple of more severe thunderstorms out of this line as it pushes on off towards the south and east. So if you're watching us in Greensburg, Campbellsville, even Lebanon, also Columbia, Kentucky, we're going to just pay close attention as this line moves on through. I think the threat for any severe weather for you in Marion County is lower, but as you head farther to the south, Taylor, Greene, Adair County, I think that's going to be some of the better locations. So we're going to be from near where we are right now with the tornado warned storm in the southern portions of Hardin County and almost draw a line due east. So southern LaRue County, right along the Taylor, Marion County line and points to the south, you'll hold the best potential to get a severe thunderstorm popping up, maybe even a tornado warning from this line, like what we've been tracking over the better part of the last hour. With this particular cell, it's still a tornado warned storm for the next 5 minutes along the Hart and Hardin County line. It's had a long history of rotation, but we are in the pre-dawn hours. It was moving through some fairly sparsely populated areas, so we have not had any reports of a tornado on the ground. It's all radar indicated. We haven't had any storm damage reports either, but we've been able to see on the radar with the winds inside of this storm that we get into some rotation and the potential, especially when you have persistent rotation, the potential for some spin-up tornadoes. There's also the chance, again, south of Litchfield. That's some rotation with this storm, too. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning into southern Grayson County, but some signs, and we have to keep eyes and monitor that area. If that rotation also becomes more persistent, not only would I imagine that the National Weather Service will extend this severe thunderstorm warning, but we may have embedded tornado warnings again over the next couple of hours for our southern communities as we move through the next little while. All right, I do think this is some good news with the latest update that we have from the National Weather Service. That orange flashing box is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is going to go until 6:30. But that also likely means that in the next 3 minutes, tornado warning that is currently in effect is going to be allowed to expire. But if you are watching us into southern LaRue County, especially down towards Magnolia, and also far northern Hart County, including Hammondville, this is going to be a storm worth keeping an eye on because we know it's had a history of rotating, which means it can produce strong wind gusts, 60 miles per hour, possibility of some hail, and maybe even a brief spin-up tornado with it. So we'll continue to keep eyes on it, but it looks like it's being downgraded from tornado warning to severe thunderstorm warning. So that's some very good news. But if you live, again, in our southern communities down towards LaRue, Hart, Greene, Taylor County, even portions of Marion County, we're still going to have the potential for some severe weather as this moves on through. So we'll stay with us and we'll keep you updated. I'm looking through with the National Weather Service, had some reports of some slightly bigger than quarter-sized hail with some of these storms, but I believe that might have been from earlier last night. Sorry, we're just trying to go through this as we go here.
No damage reports for so far, but a lot of rain and a lot of wind. And yeah, these winds, they are gusting. Taking a look at some of our queries on the velocity here. I mean, there's some spots where the winds are really kicking up there. Let me pull this up real quick on the monitor. And this one that we've been watching, the one that kind of looks like it has more rotation with every scan, that's still just a severe thunderstorm warning. It's got 55-mile-per-hour winds here. And let me just zoom out, and so you can take a look. This one, I just keep my eyes on. I know you pointed it out a couple of times, Matt, but this is just right here. We're watching just south of Annetta. At this point, though, it's still a severe thunderstorm warning. The National Weather Service has not upgraded it. They have not mentioned anything about any of its rotation. So hopefully they will just, we'll just kind of keep an eye on that one, and it'll just stay a thunderstorm. And they should be expiring this tornado warning soon.
So, Mo, that's all going to be good news. And what we're going to do here over the next minute is, and if we could put the radar overlay onto this, I want to show you that we do have this line of thunderstorms that has heavy downpours, thunder and lightning, and some embedded stronger wind gusts and rotation. That's what we've been following for you. And in fact, really starting to light up this line south of the Western Kentucky Parkway in Grayson and Hart County, and also now in the southern portions of LaRue, northern Hart County, and further off to the east in northern Grayson and also northern Taylor County. That's north of you in Greensburg and Campbellsville, but we're going to have to watch this line for you as it pushes on off towards the south and east. As we hit 6 o'clock, this tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire. What that's going to allow us to do is, while we are going to continue to keep you updated on this and give you frequent updates on this line of thunderstorms, we're also going to get you back to the newscast as well. And so right now at 6 o'clock, Carrie and Alex, we're continuing to watch the severe weather, and we're going to send it back to you.
All right, good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Durham.
And I'm Carrie Grace. If you've been with us, you know Matt and Mo have been hard at work tracking those tornado warnings for us that are just south of us. Of course, we are going to have some stormy, rainy weather throughout the day. We want to go back to Matt real quick. We're going to check in to see how the rest of the day is going to go here in the metro, Matt.
Yeah, we're watching still. And remember, those storms are pushing on off towards the south and east now down into our southern communities. In the metro, we've had some rain. It's drier up towards the north. Still in the 30s in places like Seymour, Indiana, but 40s in Madison. So there's been a big difference in what type of weather we've been seeing across the area. We've even had some fog to the north with the storms farther off to the south. And look at all these warm temperatures in the 60s. Now, I think you're going to hold on to some of that warmth a little longer through the day to the south, but in town, we're going to keep in the low 60s the next couple of hours, but likely fall just a little bit more into the 50s as we march into the afternoon. There will be a renewed chance of some showers, especially in our southern communities, maybe a rumble of thunder, but I think any severe or strong threat would be low with those as we head into the afternoon. But look at temperatures. We're in the 60s right now, but we come down a little bit into the 50s as we move through the afternoon and eventually as we trend drier and begin decreasing our clouds into the evening. Around 10 o'clock, we'll be at 47 degrees. And overnight lows are going to be dipping into the 30s. Now, as we get into tomorrow, we'll be looking at conditions that go into the 40s for highs, So be ready for a bit of a chillier day. But coming up in the next look at weather, I'm going to give you a complete check of the 7-day. I know we've been kind of in storm mode lately, but I'll get you a complete look at the 7-day forecast coming up in just a few short minutes. Now, we have also are in the middle of the morning rush. It is 6:02. We're going to send it on over to Mo Rose. She's been running radar, but she's also been keeping eyes on traffic for you, and she has the latest if you're headed out.
All right, so we haven't really been dealing with the brunt of those storms here in the metro in the last hour, so I'm glad to say that there are no accidents that we're too worried about right now. But I do want to point out that we were able to see a lot of the rain on the cameras this morning, and right where some of the storms are moving through, this is along 65 by Sonora and Upton. So those roads are wet. If you are traveling along the 65 corridor, along maybe south of the parkways this morning, you got to give yourself extra time, extra space between vehicles. The rain rates are pretty high, so it's putting down a lot of water in a short period of time. So you don't necessarily want to end up hydroplaning this morning. That is not the way you want to start your Thursday. Taking a look at some of the other cameras, though, things are looking a little bit better, closer to the metro. It's still wet out there. Here's 64 out by the 9th Street ramp, and then just taking a little bit of a cruise down 65. This is out by the park, or this is out by the Watterson, and then other spots. This is taking you out by Watterson and Breckenridge. Drive times, let's take a look at those interstates real quick. If you are coming in on 65 north, that's going to be 11 minutes from the Gene Snyder. 64 west, everyone's still cruising at 70 miles per hour. It's a 13-minute ride to downtown. 71 south, also looking good. We're about 9 minutes into the city this morning. All right, 6:03, ladies, back over to you.
Mo, thank you. Another Kentucky school district is canceling classes because so many students and staff are sick. Hardin County schools will be on NTI today and tomorrow. Superintendent Teresa Morgan says the district will use those days to sanitize buildings. The district will still be providing meals for students. Families of those students can pick up lunches at their child's school during designated times. Hardin is one of 7 districts currently using NTI, including Oldham and Shelby counties. Now, Bullitt and Spencer County did close schools for the rest of the week.
Happening today in New Albany, restaurant is raising money to support a Southern Indiana sheriff's deputy. The McDonald's on Charlestown Road is hosting a fundraiser today from 7 until 7. 50% of mobile orders will go to the family of Orange County Deputy Zach Andre. He is still in the hospital after he was shot last month during a traffic stop near West Baden. You can also make a donation to the Louisville Metro Police Foundation. We have that link in the Scene On section of our website and our free mobile app. The family of a man killed by a U.S. Marshal is calling out LMPD for rejecting a report on his death. We first told you about this yesterday. Amari Cryer was shot by police back in 2022 during an attempt to serve an arrest warrant. The Inspector General says officers lied on the complaint and committed 12 other violations. But LMPD says the shooting was justified. Now, in a statement, the victim's family wrote, quote, "We refuse to sit idly by while our government officials grossly misstate what happened to Amari and applaud the actions of those involved in his killing." LMPD and the Inspector General say they expect there to be healthy tension among their offices moving forward.
A 14-year-old boy is recovering this morning after being shot in the Chickasaw neighborhood. We first told you about this story yesterday. Police believe someone intentionally shot into the boy's home on South 43rd Street late Tuesday night. Now, this comes just 2 weeks after a 12-year-old boy was hit by a stray bullet in the Portland neighborhood. Gun violence activists in our area say this is a heartbreaking reality and is part of a much bigger problem.
We got too many guns. We got way too many guns. Easy access to guns. Until we get a handle on unregistered weapons in anybody's hand, anybody, you know, we're gonna have this. We're gonna have kids getting shot.
So far, no one has been arrested, but if you have any information, call the anonymous police tip line at 574-LMPD.
Technology used to prevent and solve crimes will be used even more in Louisville. Louisville Metro Police have plans to install more flock cameras. Those cameras can send live notifications if a stolen vehicle passes through a device, and investigators can look through footage from the past 30 days. So far, about 141 flock cameras have been installed in our area, and officials plan to add almost 140 more by the spring.
An all-star lineup of musicians will be performing in Louisville this summer. The lineup for Bourbon and Beyond has officially been released. 120 artists will perform on 5 stages. This year's headliners are Fish, Noah Kahan, Sturgill Simpson, and the Lumineers. Bourbon and Beyond is September 11th through the 14th at the Highland Festival grounds at the Kentucky Expo Center. If you want to go, tickets are on sale right now. 6:07, we are checking in with Matt. He's been tracking severe weather all morning.
Yeah, no longer a tornado warning, but we do have 2 severe thunderstorm warnings. They're in our southern communities, south of you in Hodgenville, but southern LaRue County, northern and western portions of Taylor, northern Greene, northern Hart, and back over to southern Grayson County. These storms not only have heavy rainfall and some thunder and lightning, but also the potential for some wind gusts up towards 50 to 60 miles per hour. We're keeping close eyes on that and this line. Even a few rain showers still lingering back closer to the metro. I'll have the latest look at what you can expect today and big changes in the 7-day coming up. All right, giving you a look at the radar here, the latest as we march through what has been a stormy start to the morning in our southern communities. And we have just had a renewed tornado warning that has now been put into place. I'm going to give you the latest on that. This tornado warning goes until 6:45 Eastern time. 5:45 if you're in the central time zone. This is going to be for northwestern Greene County, southern LaRue County, northeastern Hart, and northwestern Taylor County. This is a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a tornado as it moves east at 40 miles per hour. Also the potential for some hailstones that may be up to quarter-sized. There is another tornado warning that is for the Edmondson County area. That is not in the WLKY region. So it is south of you at Grayson County. We're going to focus on the one that is in towards the Greene, Taylor, and LaRue County line area over the next couple of minutes. What I want to do, though, I also want to give you some forecast information today because a lot of us have got to head out the door. You can see in towards the Elizabethtown, Louisville through southern Indiana. We've had a few sprinkles, but we're quieter after some wet weather overnight. But we continue to monitor this line as it moves into some warm and muggy air. And within this line of thunderstorms, we occasionally get some more powerful cells and some rotation too. That earlier prompted tornado warnings back off towards the west into portions of Grayson and Ohio County with a cell that went right over the Caneyville area. The good news is we haven't had any confirmed touchdowns of the tornadoes or damage reports. We look at temperatures that are varying quite wildly across the area from mild 60s in the metro to the south. And again, in the south, too, it's more humidity that's fueling those storms to 40s and even some patchy fog in our far northern communities. And when you see temperatures in the forecast today, just know the farther north you live, your numbers are going to struggle and you're going to be chillier today. Further to the south, you're going to be a little bit on the milder side. In town, I think we go from the 60s now and spend a lot of time in the upper 50s through the afternoon. Also a good chunk of dry time through the late morning and early afternoon. By late day and early evening, we'll renew some shower chances, especially in our southern communities. Even a few rumbles of thunder will again be possible. But as a front moves on in, and it's a cold front in nature, we'll trend drier and cooler into tonight. 47 by 10. Overnight lows are going to fall into the 30s. In the 7-day forecast, we're 37 tomorrow morning, 46 for our high, but some scattered showers return late Friday into Friday night. Showers again mixed with thunderstorm chances on Saturday, highs in the low 60s, but those thunderstorms rumble on through and we get chillier Sunday. We're dry at 42, but look at the numbers next week. We're not breaking out of the 30s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we'll have opportunities for a mix of rain and snow. Even some signs that some of that snow could accumulate across the area. It's far too early to talk amounts, but that is going to be one of our next storm systems early next week that we'll be keeping close eyes on. All right, wanted to give you that forecast update, but now we're going to be transitioning into storm tracking mode once again. Meteorologist Mo Rose has been running the radar for me all morning long, and we're going to continue to keep you updated in our southern communities, and this continues to be the location. If you live farther to the north towards the Bluegrass Parkway, if you're watching me in Elizabethtown and also Bardstown, no severe weather threat. Hodgenville, all of this is south of you, and it's going to stay south of you. So you too, even though portions of LaRue County are under a tornado warning with this storm, it doesn't include you in Hodgenville. It's off to the far south and eastern portions of the county. Now, Mo's put a track on this, and it's going to be over towards some pretty small towns. But if you live in the Badger area around 624, 637 in Hobson, and Jessietown around 641. So we're talking about some pretty open agricultural land in this area, but nonetheless, it's the WLKY region. I know we have some viewers there. I appreciate you watching and trusting us as we follow these storms for you. And while we have a big line of thunderstorms, we look inside of that line. We look at the rotation, the velocity within that storm, and what we look for is the brighter shades of green and red that start to show some signs of the rotation right there along the Hart, LaRue, and Greene County line. So as that pushes on off towards the east at around 40 to 45 miles per hour, that's going to move it through northern Greene County and also far northwestern Taylor County. At this time and at this track, I think it mainly stays north of you in Campbellsville. Campbellsville, you are not under the tornado warning right now, but we are going to closely monitor this storm for you because this goes until 6:45. So for the next 30 minutes, we have a tornado warning in effect for this area, and so we're going to continue to watch it. If you live in this tornado warned area, while there is not confirmation of a tornado on the ground, and I think if we were to get one, it would be a brief spin-up tornado, I still want you to go into the center portions of your home as you monitor this, or the basement, so that we can track it together, and I keep you informed, but you're also in your safe place in case this does. And what would happen, it would be fairly quick if it were to put down a brief spin-up tornado. We want to be in the right locations in our homes. Most of us are just going to have some very heavy downpours with this, some thunder and lightning, and perhaps a brief high wind gust. That's going to be what most of us see in this area. But again, within a smaller area, we get into the rotation of this storm, which is right over extreme northern Greene County. It's north of you in Greensburg, north of you in Summersville, but it's pushing on off towards the east. So in about 5 to 10 minutes time, it's going to be crossing through northern Greene County and into northwestern Taylor County with a tornado warned storm. The National Weather Service has been tracking this, and we've been tracking it with them all the way since it began into Ohio County through Grayson County. And what happens with these cells is they fluctuate in intensity, and while we had a little bit of a lull as it rolled through northern portions of Hart and far southern LaRue County, it sort of picked back up that spin just recently. Well, I'll tell you, just like it picked it back up, it also looks like that it might be a little more of a straight line wind dominant storm right now. So we kind of have these fluctuations within these cells, but nonetheless, there is a tornado warning in effect for this kind of broad area of rotation with a storm that's now into northern portions of Greene County. As I look back off towards the west, if you are watching us in Magnolia, far southern LaRue County, I think the worst part of this storm is clear, as well as far to the north and eastern portions of Hart County. This is now starting to transition east into Greene and far northwestern Taylor County with this particular storm. I also want to give a quick heads up. We've been watching another little cell that's moving near you in Bonnieville. It's a severe thunderstorm warning, so right now a straight line wind gust, but there's a little indication of some rotation near the Bonnieville area in Hart County. So just want to bring your attention to that. And this is what we're going to be tracking over the next couple of hours in our far southern communities, well south of the parkways now, for you through the remainder, let's say the 8, 9 o'clock hour before we wind all of this down and get into some drier time late morning and into the early afternoon. But nonetheless, Mo's putting on some wind gusts there, 38, 36 miles per hour. But again, some signs of rotation. So we keep eyes on that. Then we turn our attention off towards the north and east with the tornado warned storm that is now into Greene County. And as we look at the radar, I want you to notice right here, right along Highway 61, you get a little bit of a lull in the reflectivity or the radar returns. What's going on here is that warm, humid air is being sucked into that storm right now, and it's been a supercell thunderstorm. It's held together for the better part of an hour, hour and a half across the region, fluctuating in its intensity, but it's been holding together. And when you build in that warmth and moisture into that storm, it lifts into the atmosphere, it taps into the winds too that are stronger in our skies in our southern communities. And so this is where we have brought in what's been a little bit of a sneaky severe weather threat, because across our region we go from jackets on up to the north around Seymour and Madison. You're in the 40s. There's been some patchy fog, to very mild temperatures and spring-like weather with humidity and temperatures in the 60s as we're dealing with these thunderstorms. Keep in mind, we should be in the 20s this time of year to start an early February morning, and we're in the mid-60s in places like Campbellsville, Summersville, and Greensburg, and up near Hobson. So look at the temperatures too, 65 degrees. That's the air, that's the unseasonably warm air that's fueling these thunderstorms right now. I do think we are peaking our temperatures. We're going to stay on the milder side to the south, but you'll likely be falling into the upper 50s, closer to 60 degrees as we make our way through the day. But again, very, very mild, and too mild because we're fueling these storms. And if you're watching us through Hart, Greene, Taylor, and Adair counties, I still want you to be on the lookout for the southern edges of this line of storms, because this is what we're going to be closely monitoring over the next couple of hours, including the tornado-warned storm while it is out of the WLKY region for portions of Butler and Edmonson County. As we look at that particular cell tracking on off towards the east, that would put places like Greene, Taylor, and Adair County a little later down the road past 7 o'clock, under the potential for some more severe weather, because these are moving pretty quickly off to the east and northeast, upwards of 50 miles per hour. So that'll put it into portions of Hart County as we get closer to 640, 645. And again, we'll continue to monitor it, because there you are in Greene County and Greensburg, and also Adair County closer to the Cumberland Parkway. So we're not out of the woods yet with any of the severe weather. We've got a couple more hours to go here through the early morning with this line. Once this line passes on through, about an hour, hour and a half ago, it was up toward the Western Kentucky Parkway in Grayson County. Once it passes you, we'll be done with any severe weather threat. We may redevelop some showers and a few rumbles later in the day as we round out the day and head into the evening, but this is definitely the worst of the weather for today. I want to show you the areas in orange. Those are severe thunderstorm warnings. That's Hart, Greene, LaRue County. We're most concerned, though, with the tornado-warned storm, and that is for this particular cell right along the Greene-Taylor County line, far northwestern Taylor County now is where we have our eyes most tuned in. But I also want you to notice, if you've been following with me, if you've been watching here on WLKY Morning News, this rotation now looks a little bit more like a backward C, a little more linear in nature as opposed to twisting. And so while there is some rotation still there, this looks to be a little bit more like a straight line wind gust potential. And that could still be over 60 miles per hour, which is enough to down trees and power lines and at least do some isolated damage in the northwestern portions of Taylor County. Now, this is a radar indicated storm. We do not have reports of a tornado on the ground. We haven't gotten damage reports from this cell either, but it has been very early in the morning, and we're just going to start to get to daybreak here in a little bit, so it's very tough to see also what's going on. So sometimes with overnight and early morning storms, it's later on that we get some of the damage reports. So we want to keep you updated and keep close watch on this particular cell, but the worst of it now looks like it's pretty quickly moving into northwestern Taylor County and out of Greene County. So if you live north of Summersville into Greene County, the worst of that is now off towards your east. Campbellsville, we've got eyes on you, but the worst of this storm is off to your north and west. So this is mainly going to be northern Taylor County. Campbellsville, tornado warning's close, but you're not under it if you live in the downtown or immediate city center there in Campbellsville. We're more concerned with this area of the storms here right into north and western portions of Taylor County headed toward the Hobson area. Hobson, you're getting rumbles of thunder. You're getting heavy downpours with this as as well. Hailstones potential up to quarter size can't be ruled out with this. Let's do a storm track, all right? Hobson, we just mentioned you, 637. Looks like the worst of this storm will be moving into your direction. Let's go a little earlier than that as well. Let's say over the next 5 minutes or so. If you're in the Hobson area, let's get into the center of your home or into your basement just in case this storm puts down a quick spin up tornado. Jessietown 642, Phillipsburg 647, and Greenbrier around 650. So that's right along that Marion and Taylor County line. I do believe this stays south of you in Lebanon, even though you're getting into some rain and hearing some rumbles of thunder too. Same can be said in the Raywick and Riley area. I think this is going to mainly steer south of you and stay closer to the Taylor and Marion County line. Even though this particular cell, I think, moves just north of Campbellsville. We're going to monitor all this little area right here in the northwestern Taylor County. As that pushes on off to the east, it stays north of you in Campbellsville. But I don't want you to let your guard down in Campbellsville, because what we have back off towards the west and southwest is a continuation of this line that's moving into air that is ripe for the potential of strong to severe storms. And if you've been watching with us so far this morning, we went from what was a fairly benign line of showers and thunderstorms farther off to the north, but once it moved into that air that's feeling very spring-like this morning, well, that's where we started to get these warnings breaking out across the area. And you can see flashing in orange are the severe thunderstorm warnings. That does include you in Summersville, back over to Bonneville into Hart County, as well as Magnolia. But it is the tornado warning that I'm most concerned with. And while I do think the northern Greene County portion of that tornado warning can now be removed, we're still dealing with it into Taylor County, north and west of you in Campbellsville. And so as we get the latest and latest radar scans, we monitor this rotation. If we can go back to the reflectivity, Mo, I want to show everybody what we're dealing with this line, because even if you're watching us in Lebanon, you're not under a tornado warning, but you have pouring rain. Campbellsville, you're on the dry side right now. But we look back over towards Magnolia, far southern LaRue County. Also still some showers and thunderstorms and maybe a brief high wind gust. But Magnolia, the worst of that is pushing on off towards your east. So as you're watching us in Magnolia, Buffalo, Hodgenville, throughout LaRue County, over the next couple of minutes, by 6:30, I think this threat of severe weather is going to be clear of you. And we can say that as well farther off to the north and west. Mo, if we can take a broad look here across the WLKY region, this is the main area of concern with this line of showers and thunderstorms. Once you get north of it, the western Kentucky, the Bluegrass Parkway, all the way back up to the metro, northern Kentucky and southern Indiana, we do not have a severe weather threat at all through the course of the morning or the remainder of the day ahead. Now, later today, I think we could refire a few showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, especially in our southern community, so we're not quite going to be done with the unsettled weather, even once we get past this morning. But the highest threat for anything strong to severe is going to run from now until about 8, maybe as late as 9 o'clock in our extreme southern counties down towards Adair and the Cumberland Parkway. So we're going to continue to monitor it all closely for you. Again, a tornado warning goes until 6:45 for portions of Greene. And now what I'm most watching is Taylor County, north and west of Campbellsville. With this particular cell, you see the lightning strikes with it, the heavy rainfall, but also some indications on the radar of some mainly broad rotation, but it's been enough that the National Weather Service has reissued that tornado warning from earlier for this portion of our region, again, northwestern Taylor County. But as we look into the cell itself, that main area of rotation, the worst part of it, is starting to get towards the far north and eastern edge of that tornado warning. So it's going to be decision time for the National Weather Service on whether or not they are going to continue with that warned storm across the area. So we'll continue to watch it closely. Also, not receiving any damage reports across the area, not receiving any reports that any tornadoes are on the ground. And that is definitely great news across the area. So these are radar indicated storms. So we continue to watch it all closely for you, because because sometimes, especially in this situation, you can get brief tornado spin-ups, you can get strong straight line winds, and you can get even some hailstones with these storms. Most centering in here into northern portions of Hart County. This is east of Bonnieville, south of Hammondville. But there's some signs, and again, if you've been watching with us just over the last hour, or if you're someone who tracks severe weather with us at home, you know when we get indications in our wind velocities and our storm relative velocities where we have the brighter shades of green and red near each other, that indicates rotation. So there's a couple of spots to watch there into portions of north and eastern Hart County. Also farther on off towards the south and west, we have a tornado warned storm down into Edmonson County around the Brownsville area. That's a pretty intense cell, too. That's had a history of rotation with that storm. And that, too, is moving on off towards the east. And so what we're going to watch, that storm, even though Edmonson County is not in the WLKY region, as it pushes on off towards the east, it will head towards Hart, Greene, potentially Taylor and Adair counties, too, over the next hour or so with that storm track that takes it on off towards the east or maybe just north of due east. So Cub Run, that's over towards, let's say, that's over towards the south and eastern portion of Grayson County. So I think that stays mainly south of you there. But heads up in Munfordville. If you're watching us down in Hart County, that's going to be a storm that gets closer to you as we get in the next 15 to maybe 20, 25 minutes. So we'll keep close eyes on it. But it is definitely our southern communities that have the best chance over the next about 1 to 2 hours for showers and thunderstorms that could contain isolated bouts of severe weather. And what's going to happen here is as this rain moves on through, and this line it's going to shift on off towards the south and east with time. So we're going to see showers and thunderstorms widespread across the area. But with almost every potential for severe weather, when we have lines like this, it's only very isolated locations that go under severe weather or actually even see severe weather. And that's what we're pointing out for you here early this morning. It's going to be into the northern Taylor County area, north of Campbellsville, and also eyes on what's going on back into Edmonson County there to the south and west, in between severe thunderstorm warnings for the potential of some brief straight line wind gusts. So wind gusts to 60 miles per hour, a spin up tornado and hail. That makes for a very stormy go of it, mainly south of the western Kentucky and Bluegrass parkways through the remainder of the morning. If you're watching us in Greensburg, Campbellsville, Columbia, you are currently not under warnings. They're closer to you in Campbellsville and Greensburg. In Columbia, you're just fine right now, but it is something that we'll be monitoring here through the next hour or two. You can see on the Doppler radar a lot of thunderstorm activity and heavy downpours that go from near Bonnieville and Munfordville and Hart County to north of you in Greensburg, southern LaRue County, also Taylor along the Marion County line. These are instantaneous rainfall rates, and when you start to get those in the 7 to 8 inch per hour zone, that is absolutely blinding rain if you're trying to travel in these areas this morning. Good news is these storms aren't going to last an hour in any one location, but they'll last long enough to put down a quick inch of rain, I think, when you have rainfall rates as intense as they are. Also, the potential for some small hail. Mo's running the radar, pinging half-inch hail possibilities. Also into northeastern Hart County, and also portion with that storm that's tornado warned into northern Taylor County. So you could get up to about a half-inch diameter hailstone falling in the worst of this storm as well. Let's go back over to the storm relative velocities, Mo, if we could, and kind of take a look at these areas of rotation within this tornado warning. And what's I'm seeing that's pretty interesting here through Greene and Taylor County is it looks like some of the worst of that rotation is now pushing east of that tornado warning. And that tornado warning goes for about the next, let's see, 12 minutes here until 6:45. So we'll have to see what the Weather Service is going to do with that, because what I'm looking at now more is maybe the potential for some straight line winds, especially where we have more of those lightning strikes between Campbellsville and also Lebanon along the Marion and Taylor County line. Also back down towards Summersville and into Hart County, a severe thunderstorm warning. It's north of you in Greensburg. But what we're looking at too with that radar doesn't have the potential for some any big time wind gusts, maybe into far northeastern Hart County, a brief one that could get 45 to 50 miles per hour. So we'll keep all eyes on that. We have not been getting reports of anything coming in from the Weather Service. I want to send it on over to Mo. She's going to give you a little update too, maybe how to stay safe when we get under these tornado warnings, Mo, because I do think through at least 8 o'clock, maybe even close to 9, we're still going to be dealing with some of these thunderstorms that could be strong to severe.
Well, that's right, Matt. Yeah, if you do live in those boxes, the warned boxes, you do need to be in your safe space, especially the tornado warnings. It is unsafe if you are in a mobile home, so you need to find an alternate area to stay safe. The better chance if you have a house, an interior room, if you have, you know, maybe a bathroom in the inside of maybe the center of the house. It's really, the big thing is to put yourself in between as many walls as possible from the storm. The safest place is going to be in a basement or a tornado storm shelter. I did want to let you know that the National Weather Service does plan to expire that tornado warning. As Matt mentioned, that storm has now almost moved out or just further east of that warned box. So they are going to keep a tornado watch in place until 11 o'clock this morning. But at this point, they are going to be allowing this tornado warning to expire. We do have to keep eyes, though, on that other storm that's just west of the viewing area, and that's going to be likely moving in towards Hart County here in a little bit. It does have some rotation on it at this point. They have not mentioned anything in the chats about extending this warning into our viewing area, but I am seeing some rotation, and there are some indicators there. So we have to watch this one closely. If you do live in Munfordville, this storm, I just want to show you, is likely going to be heading towards you. Whether or not it weakens, hopefully that will be the case. But if you do live in Hart County, north of Munfordville, you're already probably hearing a lot of thunder, heavy rain, and those rain rates are pretty intense at times. So that's just something we're watching. And if you do north of Munfordville, you're still under a severe thunderstorm warning, which means you don't necessarily need to be in the basement, but stay away from windows, especially because with those high wind gusts, they can knock into tree limbs, knock things into windows, and cause damage and harm you. Now, it does look like they have gone ahead and warned for that rotation that's just outside the viewing area for the path. So Munfordville, as we just mentioned, now it's time for you to go and find your safe place. This new tornado warning is going to go until 7 o'clock. So we're going to be watching this here with you. For those folks who do not are watching on TV, if you have the app on your phone and you want to stay with us, take the phone to your safe place. We're going to be with you the whole time and just walk you through it. If you do not have a phone or an app, and you need to leave the TV, go down to the your shelter, if you have a storm shelter, if you have a basement, or find the center part of your house that is away from windows. That's a safe place for you. And just stay there until 7 o'clock. That is when the National Weather Service will expire this storm. At the moment, though, just kind of zooming in, this particular storm is still just outside of the viewing area near the Mammoth Cave, or north of Mammoth Cave. But the way it's moving, it will be pushing into Hart County in short order. So let's take a look at the storm track for this particular storm. And it's moving between 40, 45 miles per hour. If you live in Munfordville, this is going to be heading into your area likely before 6:58. Horse Cave, same deal. Cammer 7:06, and that's just after it expires. So wherever you're going to be, I would say just stay in there until at least 7 o'clock. For those of you who do have your WLKY apps on your phone, just keep it with you, and we're going to walk you through everything this morning. But currently now have a tornado warning for Hart County, thanks to a very strong storm with indicated rotation just west of our viewing area.
Hey, Mo, I know we're going to keep eyes on our viewers down into Hart County. I also want to give everyone a chance to get updated on the forecast for today, because it is going to be a day where we have a lot to deal with across the area. We're going to be looking at a big-time temperature difference. Look at 40s to the north and 60s to the south. What's been fueling these thunderstorms this morning is a warm front, and that is spring-like air. It's humid as well down into southern Kentucky, where we have temperatures lower and middle 60s from the metro southward, and then chillier 40s to the north. I think as we move through the day, and I want to point out too, if you live in our far northern communities, you may not hit 50 degrees today. So it is going to be on the chillier side for you up towards Paoli, Seymour, and Madison. The farther south you live, I do think these numbers come down a little bit through the afternoon. And so in the day planner, in the metro, we spend a lot of time in the 50s today. If we could break out of the clouds, we may touch 60. If we stay in the clouds a little bit more, we may get numbers just a touch lower. But for this time of year, when average highs are in the middle 40s, we are going to outpace normal and be above normal across the area. We're dry. Once we get this line out of here by 8, 9 o'clock across the region, we'll get into some dry time through midday and a good chunk of the afternoon. But as we round out the afternoon and head into the evening, a redevelopment of a few shower chances in the metro, but especially our southern communities, could see some rain, maybe a rumble of thunder later in the day. So we'll keep some impact weather there towards the evening rush, and if you have any evening plans this Thursday night. By 10 o'clock, we're trending drier. We're going to decrease the clouds. We'll be in the 40s by 10 o'clock. Lows tonight are going into the 30s, so it'll be chilly Friday morning, but afternoon highs at 46. That's right at normal. Clouds will be thickening up Friday, and especially by late day and into Friday night, we'll see some showers break out across the area. Showers could turn into another round of storms by Saturday, with highs back into the spring-like low 60s. So we'll watch that closely for you. It comes with another cold front that by Sunday has our temperatures down to 42, but this front is going to bring some increasingly chillier air into our region as we get into the first part of next week. Temperatures are stuck into the 30s. By Monday night into Tuesday, we start to keep eyes on our next weather maker, and with the cold air in place, it looks like it could bring a mix of rain and snow. I will tell you this, the forecast models the last couple of days have at least had the possibility of maybe some snow accumulations with that. At this time, we still have several days to watch it. It's too early to talk about specific locations and amounts, but it's just something for next week we're going to want to have in mind. But first and foremost, we've been tracking the weather this morning. We've been tracking the radar for you. Mo's been running it for you in the Weather Center and for me so far. We can look across the region and see that we have a couple of tornado warnings across the area. Now, I do believe that one into Greene and Taylor County, Mo, I think that one was allowed to expire early, even though it's still on the system.
It's still on the system, yes.
We're not going to worry about that one through northern portions of Greene and Taylor County. What is still an active warning is what's moving out of Edmonson County, Kentucky, and into Hart County. And while Edmonson and Hart County are technically not in the WLKY area, I want to keep close eyes on this, because if it were to hold together, and these storms have been holding together recently, we're going to bring attention to our friends who can still get us over the air in Munfordville, but also towards Greene, Taylor, and Adair County, our southern communities that are in the WLKY region. So that includes Greensburg, Campbellsville, and Columbia. So I want you to be on the lookout for that storm, even though it is well off towards you in the west, into Edmonson, into Hart County. It's been a storm that recently has shown some strong signs of rotation. These are all radar indicated storms. They have been all morning long. We haven't had eyes on any tornadoes yet, and that is definitely good news across the area. We haven't had any damage reports either. These have mainly been in very rural, sparsely populated areas, but nonetheless, they're in our region, and we keep you updated on all of it. So Munfordville, 7 o'clock, Horse Cave around 7 o'clock, and Canmert, 7:09 as you get through central and eastern portions of Hart County. That's where you want to be in your tornado safe places, as that storm that is now, you can see with the latest update, moving out of Edmonson and into Hart County. But again, we're also more concerned too towards Greene County. So Greensburg, if you're watching us, and towards Pierce and Somerville, that's where you're going to want to just keep eyes on this one. because if it holds together, that would bring a rotating thunderstorm into your area. And we have seen some of these storms that they've just been occasionally pulsing up and down, back and forth with some of the rotation. And that has had the National Weather Service putting out these warnings, both for severe thunderstorms and tornado warnings across our region. One thing I want to point out farther on off towards the east here, this is along the Taylor-Marion County line. Pretty persistent lightning strikes there with those thunderstorms. This was part of a storm that was tornado warned earlier, but now it looks like the better potential would be for a straight line wind gust. So that's why you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. This particular tornado warning is expired. The computer just hasn't knocked it out yet, and that'll happen at 6:45. We have another severe thunderstorm warning through portions of Greene and Hart County, and then we start watching the next red box, a tornado warning in effect for portions of Edmondson and also Hart County. It's going to include you in the Munfordville and Horse Cave area as you head through Hart County there south on Interstate 65 this morning with a storm. And you can see the radar rotation indicators there and also even some straight line wind gusts, 50, maybe 60 miles per hour with it. And that is what has been and will continue to be the threats with these storms. Wind gusts perhaps up to 60, some small hailstones, but also the threat for some brief spin-up tornadoes. And we've been monitoring this all morning show long. These areas that show these brief areas of rotation, they don't typically last for very long. They're not indicative of big, long track tornadoes across the area, but they can briefly put down spin-up tornadoes and do a little bit of damage across the area. But the good news is that has not been reported with any of these, and we hope it stays that way through the duration of this morning, because I do think we still are under this threat for the next couple of hours across the area before it can clear Adair County down toward the Cumberland Parkway. There has been recently a tornado watch issued also in our far southern communities. While it does officially include LaRue County, you are now done with any severe weather threat. But Hart, Greene, Taylor, Adair, Marion County, still, especially in our far south and eastern portions of Marion County, under that potential for severe weather. Washington County, Kentucky, I think you're done with any threat for strong to severe storms in this tornado watch. So on the far north and western side of this tornado watch, those will be the first counties that'll start to get chipped away as this line moves on through, and any severe weather threat this Thursday morning will be coming to an end. But you see this line, and it's been pretty fierce from time to time with this shower and thunderstorm activity, but we're going to have our eyes very closely watching that Edmondson and Hart County storm. It is 6:45 right now. I do want to get you updated back to the news desk with the latest, because we've had our Shaquille Lord. He's been en route towards this line and the damage path. Carrie and Alex.
All right, Matt, that is right. Our Shaquille Lord, he headed south, and he is now in Hardin County.
Yeah, Shaq, do you see any damage where you are?
Yeah, Alex and Carrie, no damage from where we are right now. And I actually just got off the phone with Hardin County Dispatch, and they say some good news here. No reports of any damage throughout the area, but we know as it becomes daylight, certainly that can change as folks head outside of their homes, as they head towards work using some of those main roads. And you can see some of those down power lines or maybe trees that are down. But as of right now, no reports of any damage. Right behind me is North Dixie Highway. On the ride here, as we go into Hardin County, it's been smooth sailing so far. Obviously, some rain coming down, but no reports of any damage, no damage that we can see from our perspective. But we're going to continue to keep talking with officials and driving around the area to see if there is any damage. But Carrie, Alex, the good news here from what officials are telling us this morning, no reports of any damage. We'll have to wait and see as it becomes daylight. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Shaq, thank you. I'm glad to hear that there's been no reports of damage so far. You can see that he is soaked, though. We know these storms have come with a lot of rain and some heavy winds.
And it's been a rainy morning, stormy morning. And again, our meteorologist, Matt Milosevic, has been tracking tornado warning throughout our viewing area this morning. Nothing here in the metro this morning other than that rain. And we've seen some lightning, some thunder. There was some fog earlier this morning. Matt, what are we seeing now? Yeah,
the metro's definitely missed anything in terms of the severe weather, and that'll continue to be the case through the day. We've had everything from some, like you said, Carrie, Cold temperatures, fog and rain to mild air that's been overspreading the region. We're 61 degrees right now in town. We'll fall back into the 50s, but still stay pretty mild for this time of year. We get into some drier time through the late morning and early afternoon. 57 midday, 58 by 5 o'clock. Again, in our southern communities, we'll watch for a refiring of some showers and storms. I don't see the same strong to severe potential that we've been covering for you so far this morning. And we do overall trend drier tonight, but a cold front's moving on in, and while it doesn't have bitterly cold air, it'll start to clear our skies. We're 47 by 10 o'clock, and we'll grab the coats tomorrow morning into the 30s, and we stay more seasonably chilly at 46 for your Friday. Cloud cover thickens back up. By the time we round out Friday and head into Friday night, I think we're going to start to see some showers across the area. They'll be scattered in nature, but we also turn that into thunderstorm chances again to kick off the weekend on Saturday. This will be the next storm system we really turn our attention to kick off the weekend, because look at temperatures up near 62 degrees, maybe a high wind gust with a few of those can't be ruled out either. It comes with a cold front, and that front is going to bring in some chilly air Sunday into next week. Sunday we're at 42, but we don't break out of the 30s. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week, there'll be an abundance of cloud cover, so it's going to be quite chilly. And on Tuesday, our next round of impact weather with the potential for rain and snow chances. And right now, what that's been looking like in the forecast models is that there are going to be areas, especially to the south, that may have the better potential for rain, and north that have the better potential for snow. But we know this far out, those things can change. So right now, it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your head that by Tuesday, Monday night into Tuesday, I should say, we could be dealing with some rain and snow chances across the region. We are still dealing with those showers and thunderstorms farther on off towards our south. We have a tornado watch in effect towards Hart, Greene, Taylor, Marion, and Adair counties. And we do currently have some active warnings across parts of the WLKY region. I want to bring your attention towards southern and eastern Marion County and north and eastern Taylor County. This is right along the county line there. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect. This is a storm that was earlier warned for a tornado that has moved along the county line. So a brief strong wind gust into extreme south and eastern Marion County, I think, will be the best potential there. Then we look on off towards the west into Hart County. This is a tornado warned storm for an area of rotation within this thunderstorm that has been fairly active since it was back into portions of Grayson and Edmonson County. So that has held together as it moves through and closer to Munfordville right now. We're going to be concerned if that warning also gets extended off towards the east. Officially, Hart County, I know we have some viewers down in Hart County, are officially, though, not in the WLKY region. Greene and Taylor County are, so if that warning were to be extended, we'll continue coverage of any tornado warnings like we do all the time, but into the 7 o'clock hour and the CBS morning news as well. But right now, looking inside of this storm at the winds, here you are in Munfordville, Horse Cave. It's really right in between. So that storm's kind of moving right in between those two cities. And there are solid indications of rotation here. And we get 50 miles per hour away from the radar, 5 towards you. Add those together. So when you start to get 60, maybe even up to 70 miles per hour in what's called gate-to-gate shear, that's an indication on the radar that a brief spin-up tornado potential will be there into southern and central portions of Hart County. And at the very least, a straight line wind gust that could be 50 to 60. So this is a powerful storm. And what we've had is we've had a long line of thunderstorms that have rolled on through here through the early morning hours of our Thursday. But embedded within those are these more smaller areas of concern across the region. So the National Weather Service here in Louisville has had eyes on this storm. That's who's issued the tornado warning right now, and that's going to go until 7 o'clock. So for the next 8 minutes now, we're going to watch out for that storm. Mo's also tracking some of the wind and hail that is with this storm system. Half-inch hail has been a frequent indicator on the radar so far this morning with some of the more powerful updrafts of these storms. So we keep close eyes on that. The good news is, though, we have not had a lot of storm reports across the area. We did have one into southern Hardin County, and that would have been a little over an hour ago with a cell that is currently moving out of the WLKY region of 3 to 4 power lines down. So that could have been a straight line wind gust or a breeze spin up tornado. And that is the type of damage I would anticipate with any of the stronger cells in these particular thunderstorms, is things like trees and power lines, maybe some minor roof damage as well. So we'll continue to keep eyes on it and track it for you through the course of the morning. It is also a heavy rainmaker. The instantaneous rainfall rates have been between 7 and 8 inches so far per hour. Now, good news is these are moving, so we're not going to see big-time flooding rains with it, but you can pick up a quick inch with some of these thunderstorms, and especially combining that with folks trying to get to and from school and work this morning, that is going to be something to be aware of, because you're going to get ponding on the roadways too, especially on some of the smaller side streets and roads away from the interstate that may not drain as well as the interstates and the major thoroughfares do. So we're going to want to be aware of that through Hart County. But again, this main cell that's between Munfordville and Horse Cave will be pushing on off towards the east, and so it will be in short order decision time for the National Weather Service to decide whether or not they're going to extend that tornado warning into Greene County. But regardless of if they do or not, if you are watching us in Greensburg and Summersville, I want you to pay close attention to that storm moving out of Hart County to your west, because as that has been kind of fluctuating in its intensity, that's still going to at the very least bring a strong to potentially severe storm into Greene County here as we get closer to and into the 7 o'clock hour. Also, if it holds together and we turn our attention back towards Taylor County and Campbellsville, as well as into Adair County, we're looking again at a storm that just now went back to a tornado warning. But what I want to show you is there's Marion County in the WLKY region. Immediately off towards the east is Casey County. And so the main heart of this rotation is right along the Marion-Casey County line. So over the next really couple of minute or two, this moves out of the WLKY region. So while we do officially have a tornado warning for far south and eastern Marion County, this does not include you in the Merrimack area, Bradfordsville, back over towards Greenbrier, Lebanon. These are not going to be cities that see any tornado warnings from this particular cell. And again, it's going to be moving on off towards the east there into portions of Casey County there, north and west, or I should say the storm is north and west of Liberty, Kentucky. But you can still see with these storms, though, we get into some enhanced winds out there and some strong wind gusts too, whether it's straight line or spin up tornado potential. These are strong to severe cells across the WLKY region. And as long as there are tornado warnings in place, we're going to keep you updated across the region. Mo Rose has been running the radar for me and keeping eyes on things from the National Weather Service, as well as storm damage reports. We haven't gotten any beyond what was in southern Hardin County, Mo, is that correct?
It ended up being just one down power line south of Nolan Road. At this point, we have one down power line. But that was from a storm that occurred about an hour ago. But these storms, and this all happened when it was still dark out. With the sun rising, we're going to be able to see a lot more what might have happened as the storms moved through. These are pretty powerful. They've got winds gusting over 50 miles per hour at times, those heavy rainfall rates. And remember, if you are traveling and you're trying to head to work, there was some heavy downpours, a lot of rain in a short period of time. So with that, you could end up having some not flash flooding, but you could have some water in the roadways and cause hydroplaning. So you want to be extra careful, especially after these storms move out, just because of the fact of all of the water that's in the roadway. And if you do encounter an area that is underwater, do not attempt to drive through it. Just turn around.
All right, always great advice, Mo. We want to keep eyes on this storm. I also want to give you another update on the forecast as well. So just because farther off towards the north and west, the vast majority of the WLKY region, including E-Town, Bardstown, up towards the metro, southern Indiana, we are not dealing with big-time thunderstorms. A couple of showers are going to be possible, mainly south of the metro, but after some overnight showers and thunderstorms, we have some wet ground in and around town. down, but look at temperatures. 61 degrees right now in Louisville and Brandenburg. It's those muggy middle 60s that have been fueling the stronger storms down in our southern communities. And then we look to the north, there's a bit of a chill to the air. It's still above normal for February. We should actually see temperatures in the middle and upper 20s this time of year. So even where we're coolest up in Seymour at 44, we're still well above normal. But I point this out because our northern communities are going to stay a bit on the chillier side, with temperatures mainly in the upper 40s, close to 50 through a good chunk of southern Indiana, and the milder air staying on off towards the south. But even in the metro, I think we see a little bit of a downward turn in our numbers as we move through the course of the day ahead. So by the afternoon, once we get these storm chances out of here in our southern communities over the next hour to 2 hours, we're going to be dealing with some dry time late morning and into the first half of the afternoon, and a lot of time spent in the 50s. We watch a few showers, especially refiring in our southern communities. As a cold front moves on through, it starts to do its job as we trend drier into the 40s by 10 o'clock. But again, nothing too cold. It's just mainly jacket weather into the evening. You might trade that out for a coat, though, by tomorrow morning with lows down into the 30s. We'll only rebound to 46 on Friday, but that's perfectly normal for the time of year. By the time we round out Friday afternoon and head into Friday night, scattered showers are going to start coming back into our skies ahead of our next storm system. Remember, we've been talking about all the ups and downs in weather lately, and that continues through a good chunk of the 7-day. We see another upward swing at 62 on Saturday with some scattered showers and storms. I think the overall severe weather threat Saturday is low, but there may be a couple of storms that could put down a brief high wind gust. So we'll keep close eyes on that for you. It's our next round of impact weather on a Saturday. By Sunday, we're trending drier but chillier at 42, and then the cold weather comes back in full force as we head into early next week. Monday is dry at 38 degrees, but we hold in those 30s Tuesday and watch for a chance of rain and snow across the area. Too early to talk amounts or any troubles with that, but we'll keep close eyes on all three of these impact weather systems that we'll be dealing with across the area. And then as we move into Wednesday, we still keep it very chilly at 35 degrees. So right now, the tornado warning that is crawling at the top of your screen for Marion County, the worst of that storm is out of Marion County and into Casey County. So less eyes on that. We're going to keep eyes on the Hart County storm for our southern communities like Greene, Taylor, and Adair, potentially for severe thunderstorm and tornado warning possibilities over about the next hour to hour and a half.
So, Matt, you would say most of this is going to stay to the south for the day?
Yeah, Louisville is done with the majority of even rainfall chances today as well.
Okay. Yeah. And we know we have Shaq in Hardin County checking out any damage that may be there from an earlier storm. But so far, not many updates.
Just one down power line at this point south of Nolan Road. But again, those storms are going to continue to move to the south. So if you do live south of that line, I just want you to be very weather aware this morning. If you have to travel, maybe just hold off until these storms move through.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But looking good in the metro. Remember, a lot of schools still closed or on NTI due to high cases of illness. And of course, we'll keep you updated, Matt. Back to you, really, because we got those warnings still in
We're
effect.
going to keep you on these storms here, and that's going to delay us getting to the CBS Morning News. But I want to get everybody updated on these storms. We're going to keep you tracking those storms. We're going to keep tracking our forecast, too, because it's really very changeable across the area as we make our way through the day ahead. So let's go over to the link system, and we're going to talk about conditions that are very changeable in the 7-day forecast, right? We've got 60s today, 40s tomorrow, 60s Saturday. And if you've lived in the Ohio Valley for some time, you know that when we go through those bigger temperature changes, that can also bring in some strong storm systems, and that's what we've had so far this morning. Even though we had showers and thunderstorms overnight in the metro, those were not severe. It wasn't until those storms got into the juicy air down into our far southern communities that it has started to develop into the strong storm potential that we currently have. Last check, when we looked at this a couple of minutes ago, we had a tornado warning into southern and central portions of Hart County. Well, now the orange box, that is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for Greene County. And remember, we were talking about for you in Greensburg, we wanted to keep close eyes on that cell because you could see a pretty strong storm and a wind gust move on in towards you in Greene County here. So it'll be near Pierce, close to Greensburg, as we move through the next about 20 to 30 minutes or so. So we're going to keep eyes on that. Also, a little farther off to the north and east, we have another warned storm up in the northern portions of Taylor County, as well as into far southern and eastern portions of Marion Marion County as well. And that is one that is going to be quickly moving on out of the WLKY region in a short time frame. So we'll keep eyes on that. It's also, the information is crawling at the top of your screen. You see this Greene County storm goes until 7:30. So for the next 28 minutes in Greensburg, you're going to be towards the end of this warning at 7:26, Black Gnat 7:31. So in towards that central portions of Greene County as these move off towards the east or maybe just north of due east across the area. Now, what we look for, and if you've been watching us so far this morning, where we have the reds and the greens, we are looking at the wind in this storm. That is what we're most concerned with. Yeah, we have some heavy downpours and some thunder and lightning at times, but we're mainly concerned with the wind. And when we see a more circular motion to that rotation, we start to get a little more concern for tornado potential. But right now, I think overall, what we are seeing is a little bit more of a linear nature to these wind gusts. And what that means is we're talking straight line winds into portions of South and Eastern Hart County. And in fact, at the latest check, well, those wind gusts don't cause too much concern, right, when we're less than 20 miles per hour. So again, what also can happen with severe thunderstorms is they can fluctuate. And so obviously with some of those numbers, it's a downward turn. But I will tell you this storm has held together all the way since back in Edmonson County. And so this potential can also be there for it to re-intensify as it moves on off towards the east. But we are currently under a severe thunderstorm warning through South and Eastern Hart County and central and southern portions of Greene County, and that's going to include you in the Greensburg area, rather, Pierce, and also just south of Summersville. So we keep close eyes on that through the rest of the morning. You're definitely going to get some heavy rain, a brief high wind gust there through Greene County, but currently no tornado warnings. We also have a tornado warning, but that is now east of the WLKY region and into Casey County. We do still have a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Taylor, southern portions, and southeastern portions of Marion County as well. So we'll keep eyes on both of those cells, but we look farther to the north. Bardstown, maybe a few sprinkles, but we're mainly dry in the metro northward through northern Kentucky and southern Indiana. So we're getting into a longer period of what's going to be some dry conditions through a good chunk of this Thursday in town and across much of the WLKY area. Where we have some storms right now, we could see a few more develop into the afternoon as well, but I don't see the severe potential with that like what we've had so far this morning. So we keep eyes on those two cells over the next, about hour or so. As we get into the 8 o'clock hour, we should be able to push most of this line away from Adair County and out of the WLKY region, and that's when we're going to be able to put our guard back down for any storm possibilities for the remainder of the day. Mo, I do want to give everyone, before we get back to programming, a quick check of the forecast. It's been very changeable the past couple of days and will continue to be. And in the numbers right now, we're looking at 40s to the north. We've come down a couple of degrees from 61 to 59 in the metro and holding on to the muggier 60s farther off to the south. I think we're going to continue to see those numbers drop a little bit in town, but we spend most of the day generally in the 50s by midday and into the afternoon, and that's still above normal for the time of year. We watch for a renewed chance of showers, especially in our, to the south of town later in the day. We could get a shower into the metro, but those chances are on the low side. It's with the front that pushes through, knocks us into the 40s as we head into the later evening hours, and overnight lows will be into the 30s, but it's a cooler day tomorrow at 46. By the end of our Friday and into Friday night, we're watching shower chances. Showers turn into a few storms on Saturday. Our next round of impact weather comes Saturday with that scattered shower and storm chance. Highs up to 62, and then the colder weather builds in. Sunday just 42, but only 30s through the first half of next week. Even a rain and snow chance comes our way by Tuesday. We'll continue to crawl all the information at the top of your screen. If tornado warnings arise for our southern communities, we will cut back into programming to give you all of the latest. But I thank you for trusting us with your forecast information and your severe weather updates. For Mo Rose, I'm Matt Milosevic. We're going to send you back to regular programming.